Another roller coaster week. There was a lot going on this week, but what do you think is the biggest factor that was driving this basically whiplash?
Right. Well, the biggest factor was there is fear in the financial markets right now for the first time in a long time, fear about what's going on in the banking sector. We had this incredible issue this week where the finance minister of Germany came out and said everything's okay with Deutsche Bank. And it reminded me of that scene in Animal House where it's like, remain calm, all is well, and there's just chaos going all around. Yeah.
Chris, there's a lot of talk this week about negative interest rates. Sweden went even more negative. It was kind of a surprise yesterday, but many countries are doing this now. Should we be worried?
I don't think it's something to be worried about. I mean, it's a strange concept for people to wrap their heads around, but
and basically, it's basically charging banks to hold on to money.
Right, exactly, and it's just sort of another little push that central banks can give to try and boost the economy. But the difference between a zero interest rate and 25 basis points of negative interest rate is not that big of a deal. It's just sort of a weird concept.
And I think it can have a backlash, right? I mean, it's supposed to get people to spend, but I think people think, oh my gosh, things are really bad and kind of seize up.
So central banks have to deal with both the reality of their policies, but also the impressions of what their policies are doing.
Aaron, there was also some talk about Janet Yellen's comments this week. She issued a note of caution, but it wasn't even that bad, but markets seemed really spooked by it.
Well, yes, she did, and she was asked about negative interest rates and basically said, I don't see any reason why we couldn't do it. I don't think we're going to do it, but we might do it. And so Chris is absolutely right. Like, from a pure technical point of view, it's not that big of a deal, but the psychology of it says, wait a minute, the Fed has been at zero, was at zero for all these years. The economy never got going. Now you're going to tell us negative interest rates are going to help us. They're not helping Japan. Like, it definitely got into people's psyche as like, there's something really weird going on here, and it's not a good thing.
It goes to show you how people obsess over her, because she didn't bring it up proactively. She answered a question. Somebody asked her a question about it, so she had to answer it. And then the news is Janet Yellen's talking about negative interest rate. It just shows this kind of hysteria that we have.
But the Fed has also sent out their new stress test and asked the banks to say, like, what would happen in negative rate scenarios? So the Fed is thinking about this proactively as well.